Have you noticed, like, does working out help you in real estate? Like, keep your mind clear?
I have to work out 100%.
Yeah.
You'd think I'd be a lot skinnier for as much as I work out.
That's the stress. It's like, how much can we work out and still get the business done?
The only reason I work out is for being a stress reliever. That's it.
And you just picked up jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
How's that going?
I love it. I like getting my butt kicked. And it's humbling because in jiu-jitsu, you literally fail 90% of the time. So it's like, I don't know. I think in business and real estate, you got to be okay with failure, right? So it's a very humbling experience because generally if you go in, you start rolling with someone, you're going to mess up. If things aren't perfect, like the move won't work. So therefore you're failing a lot. And it's very humbling.
This probably takes you back to like when you first started real estate then. Like when you first got in, were there things like that can relate to maybe jiu-jitsu that you're like, you got to be uncomfortable with being kind of uncomfortable in certain situations. You have to put yourself in the stressful environment in order to grow.
Yep. Yeah. And for me, like I've been, a top producing agent for how many years now and have run a successful team where in jiu-jitsu, it's taken me back to, I'm the beginner. I'm the new guy. Like I'm a white belt where I'm going up against blue, purple, brown, black belts that are really good, and they're so far ahead of me in their level. So it's that whole, if you've ever heard of the Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell talks about the 10,000 hour rule. You got to put 10,000 hours into something to become really good at it. And so it's fun to like, okay, this is like a whole new thing that I'm learning that process and just appreciating and respecting the process. So then I think it actually helps me relate better to newer agents because I feel like, 17 years I've been doing it. It's hard to remember like exactly that feeling
of the first deal.
Yeah, 17, 16 years ago.
Right. That's, I guess feeling new for you being so vetted. For the very few that don't know, I think everybody does know, but could you explain, hey, the past 17 years, what you've grown here?
So obviously started on I'm a second generation agent. As you know, my dad's been doing this for 40 years now. I've been doing it for 17 years now. I got into real estate. I was going to UNO. I was framing houses and mowing yards. And I was going to school for business management, and actually I was going to school for accounting, business finance, and one other thing. Anyway, I literally dropped out. I had 18 credit hours left to graduate.
Oh, wow.
And I had gotten to real estate at the same time. And I had gotten to real estate purely initially because I watched my dad do it for so long. And I knew you could make a lot of money if you really worked hard at it. And that was attractive to me. I was younger, I was 19, 20 years old. And so that's why I initially got into real estate. And what happened is I started selling a lot of real estate. I started working with a lot of investors. That was the majority of my clientele in the beginning. And I just was constantly out there. And then pretty soon those commission checks started coming in. And I started making, I got to the point where I was making close to six figures. And that's when I ended up dropping out of college. Because I'm like, I will never make this kind of money with any kind of career I go into.
Right.
And so then I dropped out. And then it was all in with real estate. And I just immersed myself with everything to do with real estate. So I was still young, dumb, had no idea how to manage money. I went and got two credit cards. I maxed both of those out on travel and coaching material. So going to coaching seminars, like I remember my first one I went to was on Lawton, Oklahoma. And they ended up becoming longtime coaches for me. And I would spend money on their training material, going to these events, trying to learn from other top people. And really the first 5 years in real estate, I immersed myself in just trying to like, give me all that, give me, and trying to learn, and then going and putting it into practice, which means, unfortunately, there's a lot of failure.
Yes.
And that to me is where I feel the moment I got on I'm okay with the failure, that's when I started accepting things, and that's when like the success really started happening.
It happened. It didn't. The good thing is that you're saying it didn't happen overnight.
No.
It was. This has been 17 years of grinding. I've only got to see the last 3 years, and the growth in just those 3 years that I've got to see firsthand was like, this guy's incredible. He's 35.
I'm 37 now.
30. Well, I met you probably 35, 34, 35, and I'm like, holy cow. We were, what was it, 10 agents at the time,
Yep.
and then now we're up to, was it 50?
I think we have 38 producing agents.
Yes. So that, I mean, that's, and then talk about the stats that we have here in Nebraska, being the #1 real estate team.
Mm-hmm.
How many houses did we sell last year?
950 some. That's what we have recorded. I think it's actually over 1,000 total.
Didn't Kobe say 1,006 or something like that? It was a random number like that.
Yeah, it was over 1,000.
It was 1,000
because there, we had some off-market deals that we had to play around with where Berkshire didn't give us the credit for, which is fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, we pump out a lot of homes. But there's a lot of failure and a lot of like fine-tuning along the way that came with it. And I think the other thing too is just always knowing like, okay, we will mess up, and just making these little adjustments along the way to get back on track. Just like you and I were talking about our fitness. Like I noticed I got off track on my fitness, on my tracking my food in the last few weeks. And it showed because I've hit a plateau of I stopped dropping the weight. I've been staying at my weight, where now if I get back on tracking,
Right.
the pounds actually start to come off.
Yeah, I just noticed like there's like synergy. If I'm slacking in my diet, I'm probably also then not disciplined, and I'm not disciplined in my business, which then I'm not being disciplined and being the best husband I could be. I think it all correlates, and hey, that's what got me to start tracking. I was like, hey, I got to track as many things as I can, because if I'm starting to fail and slack here, it's just going to bleed into everywhere else.
Yep.
But back to kind of getting started, what I noticed is that you did something that I saw others not. If you got on Facebook or anything, people were not wanting to jump on the Zillow train.
Yeah.
And you were like, hey, I'm gonna embrace this technology and leverage it as my team. Can you go into a little bit about that?
Yeah. So a lot of real estate agents don't like it, right? Because essentially what Zillow does is they're a multi-billion-dollar company, and they make their money by, they have an awesome website, right? They have an awesome platform, and they take the data that we go out and get. So we get a listing, they take our data, they market it, and then they sell us leads back in return. So they're taking our proprietary information to go sell it back to us. So it's a genius on their part, right? And they've created this multi-billion-dollar company because of it. Agents don't like it because they hold the keys to the kingdom. So I didn't like it initially. Actually, the Zillow rep kept calling me. This was probably 10 years ago at this time. And I'm like, nope, not interested. Nope, not interested. I'm good. Don't want it. I wasn't going to buy into that. And then it was probably 9 years ago. The Zillow rep had left me a very aggressive message. Like basically was cussing on the phone. Like pretty much, you dumb SOB, if you don't call me back and take advantage of this, like you're the dumbest guy ever. I'm like, man, whoever's willing to leave me that kind of a voicemail, I think I like that. So I call him back. His name is Jason. And I mean, we're still like friends on Facebook, and we still will talk from time to time. And and that's when we jumped on. So I jumped on because, then you start looking, it's like, well, you start asking people, you're talking to your buyers, you're talking to your sellers, and they all start talking about like, yeah, Zillow. Everyone's talking about Zillow. It's like, well, gosh, if everyone else is using Zillow when they're searching for real estate or whatever, probably should jump on the Zillow train. And so we started with a small budget. I think it was like $500 a month. We were advertising with them, and we would get some leads. We'd go sell them some houses. And then this is working, making money off of this. And the more money you spend with Zillow, the more they give you. And then the more exposure you get, which is good for your listings, because if you have more of a demand for your product, you're going to sell your product for faster and for more money, right? So we just kept getting deeper and deeper. I was like, okay, let's go up to 2,000. Let's go up to 3, 4, 5. I mean, it got up to $30,000 a month in Zillow advertising dollars but it also, we would get this awesome return back. And we obviously went deep with that. And we do that with other lead gen type services too, like realtor.com and Google and all that. But Zillow was the first one that we really went deep with, and we went that deep with. I had always done AdWords, like Google AdWords or pay-per-click, but never that deep.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. I've seen where, like, it's crazy. As agents, we don't necessarily look at ourselves as businesses in ourselves, and we don't treat ourselves like that. And so we don't want to spend money to acquire more business, which is not the approach in any other industry. You have to spend money to ultimately make money.
Yep.
I don't see that. I didn't see that. Now people are starting to pay a little bit more into the lead gen. But I think you were very early on, and I think it played dividends.
Well, and I mean, as you build a team, like, you want to feed your agents.
Right.
So I look at it primarily as it's a tool for my listings. If I can create, again, more demand for my listings, I'm going to win. Yes, I'm making less money because I have this cost, but I'm creating more of a demand for our listings because we have more people looking to buy. And so to me, that's number one advantage. And then number two is you're feeding your agents and yourself, of giving them people that are, these are real people, real families, human beings that are looking to buy or sell. And so these are great introductions, and 99% of them become lifelong clients. So then we have, whether it's you or Amanda or me or Stephanie or whoever, now they've created this lifelong relationship with their client, and they get referrals from them. So yes, you got to pay for that person, but it's this gateway to all these other connections that you can get from that one person, because we have a really good track record for our referrals and for reviews, and we have positive reviews because I do believe we go above and beyond. So yeah, you got to take a little bit of a haircut initially, but long term, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think if you leverage it, it goes a long way. And that's when I was picking, when I moved here, where am I going to go? I knew that I wanted to scale, and I looked at the Briley team and like, oh geez, no one's given leads like that. Like, I remember talking to a couple agents eventually that came to our team. It was like they had one lead for like 6 months that they were given. That's insane. When we were thinking about our model is, hey, we're going to scale. Like, you want to do business, we're going to scale you quickly. And that's exactly what I was looking for. And I love that model personally, because you get it's like compressing, let's say, your first 5 years, and we're going to compress that down into your first year in a year.
Yeah. Well, think of how many agents that you yourself included have come on to the scene, brand new. And by year 2, you're a $10 million producer. Most people, the average person in Omaha sells $1.2 million worth of real estate. Yeah. I mean, so just fathom that. And then you're getting your experience so much quicker. You might have less years experience, but you're getting more experience because you are dealing with way more transactions. So you could go up against a veteran agent that's been in this business for 15 plus years, but you know more because you've dealt with so many more transactions.
Yes.
And in a positive way.
Right. And building that stress muscle. I remember talking with you when we were getting going. I'm like, hey, how do you deal with this stress, man? I mean, this is just
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, you got to roll with some guys. No, it's just building up that stress. And you pick jiu-jitsu as like kind of the outlet. Are there any other things that help with that stress?
I would say you do get more mentally tough, I believe. Like, the more you deal with it, like, it's a building block, right? Like, I like to put myself in uncomfortable situations. Like, we were talking upstairs, I'm looking at buying this package of homes, right? And I think for most people it would scare them, but for me, it's like, for Stacey and I both, it's like, it's exciting because it's expanding our mind. Like, it's bigger purchase than we've ever done. It's the most amount of money we've ever dealt with on a single purchase, but it's expanding your mind. So the more you expand your mind and you challenge yourself, it starts building on itself. And then the next thing you know, like, a year goes by and you're like, wow, I can't believe I used to get stressed about something like that. Like, and now it's like, that's so easy. I deal with that on a daily basis. And it just, over time, it just gets easier, right? But yeah, unfortunately, when you're going through it, it sucks. And I was just talking to Dartan about this because he had a really busy, stressful week last week. And I mean, he was like, I think I had a little bit of a breakdown, like of everything I was going through. And I've been there many times. And so I think dealing with that is knowing like, okay, respecting and enjoying the process and the journey. I think that's something we should always sit back and try to do. And then I read a lot to try to like learn from books and from those types of situations. And then also, I think making sure that you're taking care of yourself, like mentally, spiritually, getting good rest. Like I was going on a drinking binge like last year, I'll just say, and I was probably more not in the right mind. I wasn't in the right state of mind. I was weak in many aspects of my life. And it was because I was drinking too much and I was getting poor sleep. And the moment I start checking that and realizing that, and I start taking care of myself, I'm getting better sleep. It's amazing like how you can just handle everything else in life so much better. Yeah. Sometimes you need sometimes an outsider to tell you that, which mine was Stacy. Wow.
And I mean, to have a partner to be willing to say, hey,
yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah.
You know?
And so sometimes for some, like maybe you're not married or something, you gotta have a good friend that you're like, hey, can you call me out if you find that I'm off? Like, and having that. And I would do that with buddies of mine. We would meet once a week for, we kind of did like a Bible type study, but it was basically to call each other out. And I did that for a couple of years too.
Wow. Yeah. The support system and that, I mean, that's a major part. I think everything just ties together again. Your social circle, the partner you choose to spend your life with, your business partners, that all kind of coincides. If someone were to be looking to build their network of people and like-minded, would you have any like direction for them, or where to like kind of look for the next step people? Because what I say is, where I come from, there's a lot of like-minded and no one really wanted to grow. It was always looking at that stress and be like, well, here are all the things that could go wrong. Yeah. Remember when I moved down here and met you, I met Aaron, I met Amanda, Rachel, it was like, yeah, those can go wrong, but we're going to do it. If we're going to do it, let's go take it.
Well, I think with that, keep in mind, that's that 90-10 rule, right? Mm-hmm. Where only 10% of the people are going to do 90% of the deals out there, right? And so like it's a small percentage of people that are going to be like-minded like you. So that's knowing that. But I think it's just a matter of like, once you find someone, like reach out to other business owners or other, the beauty in social media, like, now sometimes you got to go validate it and see if it's real and not fluff, because social media, you can fluff anything, right? But like reaching out to them, say, hey, I feel like we might be like-minded. Like, what do you think about sitting down and talking? Like, maybe we can help each other grow. And then you are who you hang out with, right? Mm-hmm. And what is it? The average of the 5 people you hang out with, that's who you'll become. So like for me, what I've done is Vince Lisi has always been a positive mentor for me. He doesn't give me handouts. It's none of that. He's always challenging me. Mm-hmm. And then he challenges me on running a business. Also growing my net worth of like going into investments and stuff like that. So like, and then I have 2 other mentors that I've always looked up to that I know like they are helping me expand my mind. And, so I really, I think the older you get too, the smaller your network gets, mm-hmm. because I don't have 10 close friends. Like I have actually Stacy's probably my best friend. Right. Yes. But because she's the one that's always willing to call me out, and we're like on this growth trajectory together. But I think it's just, over time you just reach out to a handful of people and you start figuring out who's like-minded to you. And then you'll see because unfortunately you'll meet people too and you're like, man, you're fake. Like you're not the route I want to go. And then you know that, like, you don't have to tell it to their face, but you'll just stop hanging out with them. Right.
Right.
But one thing I'm trying to do is put myself out there more socially. because I also want people to be able to come to me and ask me for advice, because I want to help other people. I want to help other people succeed. I want to help their net worth grow, their personal life, mentally, spiritually, everything grow for the better. So if I can put myself out there too, where they feel comfortable coming and talking to me, I think it's just a great win-win. Because I've also found on that kind of that topic is more successful people, the successful people that are out there, they like to mentor people. So you can always reach out to someone that's a few steps above you and go get coffee with them once a month or once every couple months or something. Like, you'll be amazed of what you'll be able to get from them too, because they want to help you, or they want to help people.
I've noticed that too. Everybody that I reached out with, they were almost excited to meet and help me.
Gives them purpose.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's like, hey, at least can I buy your coffee? Like, I want to buy something for you, so this exchange. And I mean, majority of folks, and now there's some that obviously are very busy. They don't have time to meet with everybody, and got to respect folks' time. But yeah, I think
but if they see that you're out there, if they see that you're willing to put in the work and hustle, like I have a buddy and I look at him as a mentor. His name's Chris, and he runs extremely successful multiple businesses. They have like 2,000 employees. Like,
jeez, yeah,
it's tons of businesses. I mean, and he's always willing to sit down with Stacy and I, because he knows like we're out there putting in the work and we're willing to put in the work. He's not like talking, it's going in one ear and out the other. What he tells me, we're going to go put it into practice. And I think if they see that, they'll want to help you even more.
Right. I remember like on that topic of like fluff and trying to cut through everything, it was like, when I first started, I'm like, Adam, what do I do? And you're like, hey, first off, you're going to go through this. There's going to be pretty shiny pennies everywhere. Remember that? I was like, there's going to be too many shiny pennies, and you got to look through that fluff. How do you decide, because for someone without maybe the knowledge and knowing and to determine, hey, is that a shiny penny or is that really an opportunity? Like, how do you necessarily know, like, is something really worth going after, or is that just kind of a trend and that's going to be here, gone tomorrow? That's just a shiny penny.
So I am kind of laughing or holding back a laughing because initially when I first started, I did everything. I went super wide. I didn't go super deep. That will bite you in the butt. And I had a ton of failure, but I was out there trying everything. I was chasing every darn shiny penny out there. And I was going hard after all of it. Well, it can get you in trouble financially because you're spending money on all these different things, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't regret that, because I learned over time, you start developing, or I started developing, like, then you'll start knowing, like, yeah, that's not for me. Like, I remember I went down that path. I'm not going to do that again. Like, that's not for me. So initially I went after everything. I went after all the shiny pennies, but then over time you develop this like gut instinct of what is for you, what's not for you. And then you start knowing which path. So it's probably not the advice I'd go tell everyone to go do.
So you almost got to try it, right?
I try it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm okay for failure. I don't like to fail, but I'm okay with it.
You fail forward. You learn from it.
You fail forward.
Yeah.